If given the choice, even humans might not reproduce when in captivity. What do you mean by captivity? Are you a conspiracy theorist? Well, we are in a state of captivity. Just a little bit. I mean, there's no utopias, all right? There's no utopia. There's only trade offs. And the trade off is not working at the moment. At the moment, we have a technocracy, and they are greedy and they are thirst for power, and the population is not enjoying this. The more they try to revolt, the more rights and freedoms are taken away, like free speech. It's getting crazy. There are movements, grassroots movements of working classes, that are voting for what they call the far right or populist, parties, and the establishment is not enjoying what's going on, not enjoying at all. These technocrats, these aristocrats, because I am of the belief that aristocracy only changed the title, they changed their name, and they kept, ruling. Everybody in the establishment is still. It's not a meritocracy. I mean, there's probably one place or two in the world that is a meritocracy, but the rest is aristocracies. It's the elites that rule, and the elites are all about nepotism. Yeah, it's not on merit. So when things turn south, because everybody in charge is just mediocre and stupid, the population it's getting angry. The population wants a change. So anyway, if given a choice, even humans might not reproduce when in the state of captivity. From the moment we are born, we are given a number. That number, I mean, is loaded with huge responsibilities, right? The society is expecting a lot of you. You could say, but there's also rights that comes with those numbers, but not really. They can, you know, take away those rights in a blink of an eye. Look at what happened in 2020. They just, all right, everybody's a second class citizen. That's the end of it. You do as you're told or else. And and that was worldwide. Incredible. They used the medical system, which is almost like a priesthood system. Everybody, confess their sins when they go to the doctor, and they use it. The fear, right? In the past, they used the fear of the after death, fear of going to hell. Now they use the fear of, being sick, and the fear of disease, the fear of death. It's the same fucking control system. Anyway, a lot is expected nowadays of a newborn. A lot. And for instance, the system is counting on the parents to raise the child and put this child through certain situations, certain rituals that they are mandatory. They have to put them through these systems. They have to check the boxes, like the education system, like medical system. There's a mandatory, substances that people have to take. And those boxes need to be checked. In some countries, if you don't, they might consider take your child away from you, put them in an adoptive family or with some institution that will make sure those boxes get checked. There's a lack of love in the system, right? The way they do things, the way they behave, the things that they expect of people. There's a lack of love, and that's why a little bit people are, revolting against. There's a lack of love, lack of humanity. So the child, after 5 years old, is expected to go through the schooling system, and that is mandatory, and they are expected to go as far as they can, preferably, university. Why is everybody pushed to go to the university? So they can have a middle class salary, of course. uh, Middle class salary, why? Well, middle class are the ones who pay most of the taxes, so the more middle class you have, the better. That money then will be used to finance this caste of special people called civil servants, and this caste of special people then they will reinforce the will of the establishment. They are the foot soldiers, you see, and they are special, all of them. Oh, trust me, they are special. Anyway, people are revolting against this system. It kind of takes their energy away. It takes their time away. You spend the best years of your life in school, and when you get out of school, you're expected to fight, for a career. Most of the jobs will separate you from your family. They will separate you from your friends, even from possible romantic relations. People are torn apart when they leave school. If you don't stick with your high school, crush, then it's going to be difficult to bond with someone else in the future. Because when you're finished with all of the career and stuff, and finally I have some money and a little bit of time, maybe I can have a child, then it's going to be difficult to find a partner. Because the age of 20 plus, 30, 40, everybody's carrying baggage, everybody's carrying trauma. It's going to be difficult to bond with someone. So even if you manage to find someone and get a family going, you won't have the time to take care of your kids. So you're probably going to have one, maybe two. You either can't afford it or you don't have the time for it. It's normally both at the same time. So this leads me to demographics, Demographics. Have you heard of female hypergamy? Yeah. That's the cause of many, many divorces, and, because female are hypergamous, and they will expect more and more out of men. And they're not going to settle, for the first guy who comes up. No, they can do better because there's more fish in the pond, They can do better, and they might prolong their marriage, far into the 40s sometimes. They are expected to get married at 40. Oh, someone will come along. They want the 666 guy, which is a guy with a six-pack, six-figure income, and 6 feet. They are hoping to get one of those. So that's hypergamy, and that also plays a role in demographics. But most, because it's a system that lacks love, and it's a system that is very pathological, most just stop participating in the system, out of their own will, little by little, disconnecting from society, from friends and family, and they become loners, they become isolated, because the system is like an abusive relationship. I mean, you just stop participating. It's not worth it. And it's either because of that, or the system, doesn't allow you to have time or resources to have a family, because some people wished, since forever, to have, I don't know, 5 6 children. They don't, because they can't afford it, or they don't have the time. So it's either the system, is abusive and people stop participating, they get depressed, discouraged, the odds is against them. Even if they work all their lives, they will have nothing to show for it. Um, and women, of course, most are extremely hypergamous. They only choose the top of the top, and people get discouraged and they start, checking out, or there's not enough time or means to raise a big family. So people kind of start having less and less children. Demographics start collapsing. And I don't buy, numbers. I don't buy these statistics. I go, for what I can see immediately around me. And what do I see around me is people abandoning, rural areas and joining in cities, which are highly toxic environments. And they have one, maybe 2 children, which is not enough to renew the population. And that's what I see around me. Yeah, I see people getting together later in life. They prefer to travel as a economic migrant and work abroad, and stay single until late in life, delaying the window of having children far as possible. And that's how demographics collapses. They prefer, to invest in career and traveling, and then to invest in a family. Of course, there's a rise in narcissism. People are more into the I, into the me. They're more obsessed with the ego, more obsessed with, pleasing the senses. They are less compassionate, I would say. Um, to me, it's just people coping with, dysfunctional. It's like a dysfunctional relationship. People are coping the best they can. When people get into alcohol or drugs, it's not alcohol or the drugs the problem. No, those are the solutions that people found to the dysfunctional relationship they had. They take refuge in those things. That's the solution, because the problem is the tyranny, the dysfunctionality of the environment that they're in. That's why they, gravitate towards these substances. It's an escape, the same way people escape towards video games and etc. It's the same way. It's a coping mechanism, you know. So anyway, um, if given the choice, people might not reproduce in the state of captivity. Yes. If you take the choice away, it becomes even worse. Yeah. When I'm talking about choice, I'm talking about, you know, reproductive, substances and tactics that you can use not to get pregnant. Those are available, and even if they take those away, it's not going to fix it. It's an emotional sickness, in my opinion, and emotional sickness can only be healed with emotions. There has to be a grassroots change in this system, from the grassroots up. I'm not talking about a cultural revolution. Hell no. Just bring about compassion, human decency, and you will see things will turn around. The establishment is incapable of compassion or human decency. They are focused on power. Like Voltaire said, you will know them when they choose power over compassion. You will know them. You will identify them. They always choose power over compassion, like those politicians that refuse to, clap at that child who got, some award because he fought, cancer for 15 years or something like that. And politicians of the opposition decided not to participate in this glorious, triumphal, day, because they, they couldn't care less about the child. They have no compassion for the child. What they saw, it's almost like a projection, the power that the opposition was getting by through this situation, because of the situation. They are focused on the power. And they're like, why don't you clap? Because I don't endorse the other guy. That's a power thing. It's not a compassion, it's a power thing. Okay, I think I'm going to shut up now. Tell me what you guys think. Have a nice day.